This democratic election will provide the springboard for a reinvigorated independence campaign that will carry us to progress next year, to victory in 2007 and freedom for the people of this nation. Thank you very much indeed.
And here are the results of the election for leader. There were 6,564 votes cast, representing a turnout of 79.39%. Of these, 28 were spoiled papers, leaving 6,536 valid votes cast. The quota for election on the first ballot is therefore 3,268. On the first ballot, the results were as follows. Rosanna Cunningham, MSP, 953 votes, or 14.58% of the vote. Michael Russell, 631 votes, or 9.65% of the vote. Alex Salmond, MP, 4,952 votes, or 75.76% of the vote. And almost needless to say, having achieved over the required 50% quota, I can therefore declare that Alex Salmond has been elected to serve as the new leader of the Scottish National Party.
Thank you, John and Alistair. Let me begin by thanking the other candidates for a positive contest. Christine and Fergus were friends before we became temporary rivals, and I'm delighted to say they remain so now. Their talents will be indispensable as we take on and beat the mind-numbing mediocrity of the Labour Liberal executive. I also want to thank all of those who have given me so much support over the last few weeks. You know who you are, and particularly my campaign manager, Shona Robison, and of course my parents who have supported me in everything I have done. I'm delighted that Alec has been elected to lead the SNP. I believe that he will now lead us to victory in 2007. And between now and then, I can and I will take on Mr McConnell in the Scottish Parliament and win. As this internal contest draws to a close and the real battle, the battle for the future of Scotland, commences, I draw confidence from the advantages I know I have over Mr McConnell. I believe in Scotland and all we can achieve if we choose to be independent. I belong to a party that will never sell its soul in the pursuit of power, but will instead use patience and passion to win over our fellow Scots, to persuade them that real self-government is the only way to build a nation to be proud of. And I look better than he does in a skirt. So as we go forward to 2007, my job in the Scottish Parliament is clear. It is to shape up the SNP so that we can ship out Labour. We will shine a light on the failings of the Labour Liberal executive, and there are many. I watched the other night as McConnell, speaking on Newsnight, told the rest of us to raise our game. And I thought, there's a guy who should take his own advice. After 5 years of his government, Patients still languish for obscene lengths of time on hospital waiting lists. 1 in 5 of our pensioners live in poverty, while trident nuclear bombs costing billions of pounds, the real weapons of mass destruction, still lurk on the Clyde. Scotland can and should be so much better than that. But like so many Labour politicians before him, McConnell chooses to further his ambition by acting as a brake on Scotland's. He is Blair's man in Scotland. His job is to stop Scotland moving on, to keep us on London's lead. Our job is to make and to win the argument for a Parliament that has real powers. Powers to match its price tag. Powers that will make a real difference to the lives of all those who inhabit this land of ours. And there's never been a better time to do it. As our new Parliament building opens its doors to the world, it is time for Scotland to embrace the fresh start that it represents, to move beyond the disappointments of devolution and to demand that the grandeur of the building is matched by the Parliament's ability to transform this country of ours for the better. I thank SNP members for placing their trust in me, and I thank John Swinney for being the leader who gave each and every one of them a vote for the very first time.
Well, folks, it's good to be back. I want to echo what Nicola said in terms of thanking, firstly, our opponents during the election, but people who will be colleagues from now and after the election. We've had a vigorous and lively campaign, and in particular, I thank Michael and Rosanna for that. I like to thank John Swinney, whose decision to move to one member, one vote has been so spectacularly vindicated in terms of the huge turnout in the election. I'd like to thank everybody who handled the election so well, and particularly my campaign team led by Richard Lochhead. Most of all, I'd like to thank the party membership who so overwhelmingly demonstrated their enthusiasm for taking part in this process and their enthusiasm for the task in hand. Now, Nicola and I pledge to make political progress in next year's Westminster election. To that end, I'm delighted to say that my first campaign meeting will be tonight in Dundee, because Dundee East is one of the seats we intend to win from the Labour Party next May. Nicola and I intend to win the 2007 elections in Scotland, and we'll do that by offering a vision to the people where currently there's just a vacuum. And we intend to lead a government of purpose and direction so that we can offer the people of this nation the opportunity to move forward to independence, democracy and equality. To that end, we will develop a new economic policy, a policy which recognises you cannot have a competitive economy if our companies, our businesses, our people are facing charges or interest rates or water charges which are higher than their competitors. You can't have a competitive economy if we have a 20th century infrastructure which isn't fit for the 21st century. We will develop a new vision of social democracy in Scotland. We currently, as Scots, pay social democratic tax rates. We have social democratic levels of spending, but we don't have social democratic levels of service. And we have to develop a policy which doesn't copycat the market mechanisms that are being deployed south of the border, which doesn't have the immobilisation that the Scottish Executive currently displays. We have to find a Scottish way to deliver the standards of service to which the people of Scotland are entitled. So therefore we intend to lead with the head, the heart and touch the soul of Scotland. Democracy does not begin or end with parliaments. As we've campaigned in this hustings campaign around Scotland, Michael, Rosanna and I, we've encountered many, many groups of people in Scotland desperate to involve themselves in the political process. I think of the health board campaigns which are raging across Scotland at the present moment as people desperately try to avoid the centralisation of health services. And perhaps if we introduce some democracy into health boards by elections, we would have health boards that were more sensitive to the people's needs. Over this entire campaign, there's one statistic which has dominated my thinking and dominated my mind, and that is the finding of the Rowntree Foundation that 73%, three-quarters of people in Scotland would like to vote for the Scottish National Party if we provide them with the circumstances. Well, it's going to be my job, Nicola's job, our job, the SNP's job, to provide these circumstances. And to do that, we must turn attention away from the building at Holyrood to what can be built from Holyrood. In terms of the disappointment that devolution has been, there are two theories which could be propounded or accepted. Either we can believe there's something wrong with the people of Scotland, that they can't make a success of the Parliament, or we can, as I would prefer to believe, that there's something wrong with the leadership that Scotland's been getting, and there's something wrong with the powers that are not at the disposal of the Parliament in Scotland. If we provide the leadership, then we will lead Scotland to have these powers. Independence, freedom, self-determination, self-respect, that is the Scottish National Party's unique selling point. This democratic election, this one-member, one-vote mandate will provide the springboard for a reinvigorated independence campaign that will carry us to progress next year, to victory in 2007 and freedom for the people of this nation. Thank you very much indeed.
If I